a massive amount of split push power. Shyvana, if he goes Blade of the Ruined King and TF, they can push those side lanes for days, but still no jungler from Alliance.
We'll see how it works out for him. Of course, Tabzz locking in that Kog'Maw. Tabzz had to farm up strong yesterday. It was a tough match for him and the rest of the team, honestly. So, Gambit, what will they go with? Will we see jungler? What will Diamond go with? Elise is the most likely, but Diamond is never one to go with.
Kha'Zix is going to be a little more difficult in this scenario because the Destiny from Twisted Fate will obviously help counter that stealth and make him easier to focus in team fights. With Elise still being up and available, it is an option. And Gambit have got the makings of a strong team fight team here already. They've got, you know, the ball for engage and disengage, the Shockwave plus Irelia combo. If they put it on something like an Elise or even a Kha'Zix, you've got very strong engage power. Command Protect into Shockwave. But Alliance need to be grouped up. I also need to keep an eye on how Edward lands his bubbles. Because once Froggen starts teleporting into team fights, if Edward is paying attention and awake, he can do to Froggen what Millennium did to Jezz's and SK. Jezz's would teleport into team fights and get insta-gipped. And the power is there for Froggen, for Edward as well, if he gets those Aqua Prisons down.
What will the jungler be for Alliance? Nyph looks like he's going to be on Thresh. 22 assists the other week he got. One of his crazy games. Of course, that did put them over the 1,000 threshold. Tabzz has locked in Elise for Shook, so he will be going with the standard jungler this time around instead of that Riven.
And I actually think that's a smart call. The Alliance comp can push side lanes very effectively, and with the Twisted Fate, you're always going to have the power to find picks and single out solo targets. Once you add Elise into that mix, yes, Riven can do that as well, but it's slightly less risky with the Elise. Long-range Cocoon, you've got ranged auto attacks for tower pushes, and I like the combo of Elise plus TF when going on those side lanes. With Elise off the table, it has to be Kha'Zix, it has to be Skarner. I'm not expecting it.
It's Edward, it's Edward.
It is Edward, but I'm just thinking for Diamond. What would Diamond run? He's done Skarner in the past, he's done Kha'Zix, Rengar is up as well. Rengar might fit. It'll be, oh, it has to, come on, so Rengar Orianna is a combo that is used very successfully over in OGN. Kha'Zix will fill a somewhat similar role. He can throw his ultimate down, get the Command Protect when stealthed up, and assuming they can catch Froggen by surprise, he won't be revealed. But it is very, very dependent on Diamond getting ahead. I feel that when he plays Kha'Zix, he has no impact like he did 2 weeks ago, or he has a strong game and he's able to run amok like he did yesterday.
You know, cast your mind back 2 years, CLG EU versus Moscow 5 would have been the classic, but now it is Alliance top of the table versus Gambit bottom of the table. A lot has just changed in the 2 years. Let's see if these pick and bans have. So the first Destiny from Froggen, first 2 Destinies are going to be very impactful. If he can get his side lanes rolling, especially Shyvana and Kog'Maw, they can then stay ahead. Alliance's team comp is going to scale very, very effectively. On the other side of the coin, when we start seeing these team fights happening, Kha'Zix is eventually going to get resets, Tristana is eventually going to get resets. So for Gambit, it's all about getting that first kill, focusing them down, then getting those resets to keep fighting. So we need to see if they've got the coordination to beat Alliance. They did yesterday against the Wolves. Yeah, they started out well. We'll see how it works out. Have these picks, of course, managed to change your vote? Tweet hashtag AllWin for Alliance or hashtag GMB win for Gambit to @LOL Esports, and we'll see in-game if there's a new crowd favorite. Alliance, of course, leading the vote early on. Yeah. No surprises there. What do we think, though, overall? I mean, who's got the power early game? Because that seems to be where the games are starting to swing in everyone's favor. In this particular matchup, I actually think it is a little bit in terms of Alliance because of the death sentence, because those first Destinies are going to be impactful. Kog'Maw is strong in lane. Elise is very impactful at early games once she gets access to a Cocoon. But they need to make it count in the laning phase, because if Gambit ever get ahead, they also can stay here. They're very mobile, very aggressive champions. A lot focusing on the junglers, they feel. Shook and Diamond, as it was in the previous matchup. Alliance starting out as the blue team up against Gambit as the red team, and we'll see whether we have any changes around in the lane phase. So Ghost Flash for Froggen. Not surprising there. Teleports in both top laners. And Flash heal for Nick. He was hovering on Flash Cleanse during Champ Select, but swapped that out at the last second.
And I think for this game, the laning phase, if Alliance play aggressively, they've got the potential to set up a lot of kills, similarly to Gambit. But in order for, you know, a Kha'Zix and an Irelia to kill a Shyvana, Wickd really needs to be overextended or really needs to be caught out of position. And that doesn't happen all too often. Wickd is a fairly safe player. On the same token in the bottom lane, if Edward lands a good bubble, then Tabzz or Nyph could be in trouble. But just like the previous game, as long as Nyph is paying attention, you can use that lantern and get Tabzz to safety in the nick of time.
We'll see whether Nick himself in the mid lane will get caught out. Death sentence from Nyph. Is he going to try and fling it out?
He will.
There? He's in dangerous perilous position. Not quite going to last. Nick stepped back there.
Well, that was optimistic.
It was optimistic, but it was worth a try, that's for sure.
It always is. I mean, it doesn't cost you anything, you know? The team is in position. So late game hyper carry for Alliance. They've got the makings of a lane swap with both Tabzz and Nyph hanging around that mid lane.
Yep.
With Elise in the jungle, we may even see one of those 3-4 minute tower dives onto Kubon. It's something that we see a lot of the European teams doing now in these lane swap scenarios. Red Buff, Steel, and Gambit seem to be reciprocating.
Yep.
And they're going to be taking Alliance. So teams are trading maps. Alliance will claim ownership of the top half, and Gambit will say, fine, we'll take the bottom half.
They're going to be a bit slower in this one, of course. They've only just got to the red, whereas Alliance have already taken it. 3 members to help them out on that one. Kubon and Diamond will be taking these raiders down the bottom half of the map. Froggen play a little bit passively against Nick, I feel, early on. He's got to be wary of the fact that he could have 3 members of Gambit pouncing out of that jungle on him at any moment. Nick is also doing the same, which is why you can see them playing towards the opposite sides of the bushes. Doesn't know what's really coming out. Blue Buff now being picked up by Alliance, as I mentioned, much quicker in this jungle phase, of course, because they started it off. Meanwhile, Diamond only just about reaching that blue buff area. We will see whether Shook, with that speed advantage, is able to do anything, but he's not only got a speed advantage, he's got an experience disadvantage because Wickd has been alongside him the whole step.
Yeah, so buddy system for Alliance, no buddy system for Gambit. Kubon's going to potentially join Diamond in the next minute or two. We did also see Tabzz, as well as Nyph, playing a little bit of the jungler role when they were moving around the map, and they cleared out some of the camps in the top half before moving into lane. But for the time being, it does look like a fairly standard lane swap scenario. And it's going to come down to when we see Wickd or Kubon going to lane, and this is Nick in trouble.
Uh-oh, gold card, death sentence, Nick's in trouble indeed. Ignite goes down, the flame pulls it to the side. Eddie just in the right position at the right time, but now he's going to get focused on. Wickd is Shook, dive towards Nick, meanwhile just off the side of the camera. First blood will go down, it's Wickd that picks that up. You can see again another kill. This time Froggen goes down, Nyph's in trouble. Kubon gets on towards him. That will be picked up by Eddie, and now they can see him turning around. Wickd travels, getting towards Edward, he goes down. 2 for 2 so far, Diamond taken low, but you can see Shook is all on his own. In goes pouncing Genja, and he will get on there. And would you believe a 4 for 3 trade, I think it was, a 4 for 2 trade for Gambit, and now they go Dragon.
They managed to come away. Diamond is the man of the moment. Gambit had the numbers advantage, and Edward was in the right place at the right time. It's not over yet. Wickd has burned his teleport. He's looking to challenge for more kills.
And they're going to come around. Kubon's very low, Diamond's very low, but he is 3-on-1. He's got to be careful if he's going to stop this Dragon. The Dragon's still tanking out on Genja, but Genja's putting the pressure back down and towards him. Froggen comes in, Wildcards come through. Nick joins the fray, back on towards it. Gold card ready, and Alliance step away. Dragon was stopped by Alliance, and that is what they needed. And after all of that craziness, it's still only a 400 gold differential between these two teams.
Edward is probably the reason Gambit managed to come away with this. He's in range to support Nick. And look how quickly both Kubon and Diamond come to join the fray. So in a best case scenario, this is still a 4-on-4. But Gambit managed to group up and cluster and focus the right targets down. Diamond with the double buff stays alive the entirety of this fight, and Edward lands a great double bubble, locking both Wickd and Shook up, despite the fact he goes down instantly afterwards. 4 for 2, Dragon was not secured, so Gambit, while they have a gold lead, they didn't extend it further, and if you actually look at it, it's still fairly even between the teams. What we need to see is what Diamond does with those 2 kills and 2 assists. How much more can he impact the game?
Well, the vote still says Alliance will win it. We'll see whether that works out after a fantastic opening to this game. They're going to need to remember also, while that was all happening, Tabzz was off on his own in that top lane, building up his farm. You can see 38-18 for Genja. Genja himself, of course, picked up that one kill.
Edward's in trouble.
Evens itself out. Eddie's in trouble. Death Sentence comes in. Cocoon goes down. Edward's in trouble. Wickd will get on towards him. He will get the last hit and get himself another kill. He's now 3 for 1.
That was just overextended. Eddie did not need to be there, had not anticipated Alliance would play that aggressively, and he gives up a kill. Now, it's actually Alliance that are setting their sights on Dragon. They know they've got the numbers advantage, and they've just seen Diamond in the top lane. So they were assuming they could rush it down, but there's not a lot of damage between all the carries. Without having Kog'Maw there, that would have been a very, very long Dragon. So wisely, Alliance back away from it. But this is an interesting lane setup. Kubon is still roaming. You've got a 3-man in the bottom lane putting damage on the tower. And as you pointed out, Tabzz is continuing to CS. He's got a level advantage, 2-level advantage over Genja, and nearly double the CS as well. So this Kog'Maw is going to come into the mid-game significantly stronger than Genja if this roaming aggressive play continues to happen.
Well, Froggen, you can see, playing very passive. He's well aware of the fact that Diamond's in his half of the jungle. He passed by a ward a moment ago and was pinged out. Diamond will clear out the pink ward that Froggen just placed. So that's going to give Gambit the advantage in the top half of the jungle. That's going to give Tabzz some issues. You can see he's now gone back to buy, gets himself a Shen early, and now will join the lower half of the map down towards that bottom lane.
Yeah, with Dragon Threat being a possibility, that's why Tabzz is going bottom lane. And we talked about how Diamond has got the kills for Gambit. Wickd is the one that's picked up all 3 kills for Alliance. So he's on Shyvana, champion I haven't seen him on in a couple of weeks. And he's got some early kills. So this lane swap shenanigans has actually worked out fairly well in his favor. He's got about a 600 or 700 gold lead over Kubon, which has allowed him to pick up an early chain vest. And we'll need to see how Wickd makes use of his teleport going forward. Still about a third of the way off cooldown. Gambit with some good vision in the river as well. So smart play actually from both of these teams thus far.
Genja not wanting any of that. The moment Tabzz showed himself in lane, he's like, I cannot compete with this. He's got a Shen, he's well ahead of me in builds. I need to go back and spend some of this gold, but he can see it's a big differential between them right now. Pickaxe is all he will come back to lane with. He is trailing by around about 400 gold, so we'll see how that continues as this game moves on. He will completely wipe out that wave. Nyph, of course, warding out, giving vision over at that Dragon, which was focused on early, but since then both teams have realized we need to step back a little bit, calm down this situation, because this game can get out of control quickly.
Yeah, it already started very chaotically, but Alliance are just pulling slightly ahead in the gold. A large portion of that is due to Tabzz having a 30 CS lead over Genja, thanks to being left alone in lane. But we need to see how he continues to punish. Because of the strength that Tabzz already has over Tristana in the laning phase with a Kog'Maw, and the early Shen advantage, it is definitely something that he'll look to punish.
Nick and Diamond moving over towards this blue buff, actually. We are going to see Froggen, he wants to get it. Shook is having to back away from this one. This is going to get stolen away, I feel.
Shook smited it.
Man had to smite it, had to steal it away. That will be taken from Froggen then. And of course, that will cause him a few problems in lane against Nick.
Yeah, once again, just delaying the power spike. We talked about how important the first Destiny from Froggen will be. And something I remember Joe saying last year is how impactful that determines the rest of the mid-game. We'll expand on that point in just a moment or two, as both junglers are chilling with Wickd and Kubon. Kubon does not have access to his ultimate yet. We need to see how quickly he can level up, because this could get very explosive.
Well, he tried to bait it out, but Diamond was being very obvious and just walking up there. I think they're realizing that there is a potential threat. Kubon, very aggressive, low on mana, so which is a big issue potentially on Irelia should this go against him. He hasn't hit level 6 yet, though. He is about to. There we go. So he's now got his ultimate available to try and get some of that lifesteal on.
Look for a cocoon from Shook.
Very, very patient play. The ultimate used. Now the cocoon. Oh, perfect pixel placement there. But you can see Froggen coming in. They're going to tower dive this one. Gold card comes down. Kubon will drop. And that was so well executed. What a cocoon from Shook.
He managed to thread the needle. Despite the fact that the follow-up from Wickd wasn't on target, it didn't matter. Froggen was in range. He'd roamed up to get in distance for the Destiny. And the point that I was trying to highlight that I remember Joe saying so importantly is if that first Destiny doesn't work, it gives your opponents that window of opportunity to play more aggressively and to be more active on the map, make more plays, go for more invades. And Froggen secures the kill with that Destiny. He's gone back to the mid lane, actually. Has not opted to spend any of his money. Still sitting on 2,600 gold. And Nick is actually the first one that is back from that mid lane. He's got the makings of a Chalice of Harmony as well.
Important kill for him, remember, no blue before Froggen. Diamond now making his way down towards this bottom lane. 2-0-2 for him. Let's see if he can get involved in a little bit more, see if he can make a play on Nyph and Tabzz, who has a big advantage so far.
So Diamond needs to wait a few CS. Edward is very close to hitting level 6, and that tidal wave would be very impactful with trying to keep Nyph and Tabzz in place, but instead, he may actually move around the back of the lane. Look at this, jungler's in the same page, but Tabzz is melting Genja.
A lot of damage going down on Genja. Just a couple of hits there. Shook finds Diamond though, gets himself a cocoon down on him. Tabzz trying to throw his ultimate spit on towards Diamond from long range. Didn't quite land, and they will back away.
Notice how Diamond is trying to set a gank up after the Destiny had been used from Froggen. While Diamond was doing a lot of counter jungling and moving around the map, he didn't pick the fight in the top lane, backed away, and it was a fairly successful tower dive from Alliance that got that kill. Now Shook is once again chilling in the bush. Last time he hung out in the top lane, he stayed long enough to secure the kill. Diamond is close-ish by the big white, but it's still going to be a little bit of time before he can get involved in the fight.
Wickd putting some pressure on Nick there as he took the Wraiths away. Nyph will ward out Dragon. Actually, it looks like Dragon may well be starting out here for Alliance. They're going to find, not quite get vision of Diamond there. They will do with that ward. But with him nearby, they decided maybe to be a little bit more cautious. Teleport's available for Wickd in that top lane, not available for Kubon. So if Kubon shows himself in a moment, he knows he's got to run all the way down if this fight would start.
30 seconds before Froggen's Destiny's up once more. Neither team has made a big play for Dragon, but with the warding Alliance have just put down, that has to be their focus. And Alliance will either look to punish the back timing of Gambit or try to force a fight and then go for objective. Look at the positioning here on Diamond. Destiny still not up for Froggen, so good numbers advantage. That's a 5-man, and Gambit simply can't contest.
Yeah, Wickd just teleports in, gets himself the Sunfire Cape, secures it. They were simply waiting for him to get that item secured, and he'll return to the top lane without trading anything. So Alliance get themselves the advantage now. 2,000 gold in the lead over Gambit with that second Dragon of the game.
Smart play from Alliance. They set the vision up. Once they had full vision of the pit, then they just committed. They managed to secure. So for Alliance, they've now got themselves in a strong lead. We talked in Picks and Bans how their comp can do very well at finding picks because of the power of Twisted Fate, because of the cocoon and the death sentence. And we just need to see how Froggen now wants to keep playing. He's got a Morella Nomicon picked up. That'll help negate some of the healing from Nami, as well as the 2 summoner heals that Gambit have got on the team. And I also think that Tabzz is doing very well. He's got 2,400 gold, so he's also getting close to finishing a Trinity Force. He's extended that CS lead to 40 over Genja. There is a massive disparity in damage and itemization between both of these teams' AD carries.
Yeah, nearly 1,000 gold between the two. Has just passed 1,000 gold, in fact, now between those two. So Tabzz, big lead. That, of course, all came from the opening start. The craziness, the battle that ensued in that river. While it was all going on, while Genja came up to help Gambit out and honestly win them that fight, Tabzz was freely farming in that top lane. Nyph and Edward going at it in the bottom lane, Kubon and Wickd poking back and forward. Remember, Sunfire Cape picked up for Wickd there, has to use his Dragon Descent to get away from the tower aggro. Shook is nearby, but there is a ward in that Tribush. He will get spotted out. Shook coming around to give full vision, give Kubon a little bit of a scare. Diamond is nearby, but I think they're not going to dive on this one just now.
The wards may be setting up for a future dive, though, if Wickd decides to heal and come back, get his Dragon's Descent once more. But since that opening engage in the first few minutes, Diamond has not been successful at finding ganks. If you compare Shook and Diamond post the opening kills, Shook has got ganks in the top lane, he's got Dragon, he's applied pressure bottom lane. And Diamond is still looking for the opportunity, still looking for the scenario where he can jump in. And he has to play a lot safer since the Destiny is now available for Froggen. So Gambit are most likely playing somewhat more reserved out of the threat of a Destiny gank from Froggen. He's got Flash, he's got Ghost, he's just picked up his Distortion boots as well. So we may even be seeing more decisive play, I think, from Froggen is the word I'm going to use.
Well, this bottom lane advantage is pretty huge. I'm seeing movement in the river actually. Genja caught out. He's going to have to rocket jump away, taking a big chunk of damage. Meanwhile, middle of the map, you can see the junglers and mid laners just shifting around there, trying to get some positional movement. Nick actually fairly low on health, but he gets a quick burst on Froggen. Pinkwood was cleared out by Diamond and Shook now. Gonna this time finally get the blue buff for Froggen.
Genja has 1400 hit points, and that critical hit from Tabzz took 25% of his hit points away. It was a 310 damage crit, and it just melted Genja's HP. We did see Edward land a pretty good bubble onto Nyph, which at least negated any further aggression. But Genja's just playing full damage control. That CS lead is continuing to grow. Tabzz has got another 10 CS advantage over Genja. And of course, because Genja's playing Tristana, it's actually difficult for him to sit on the back line and farm under his tower, because his explosive shot is going to be pushing the wave out. So it actually exacerbates the problem of Genja looking for CS but still wanting to play safe.
We saw there, Diamond of course did level up his Void Spikes in his first evolution. We'll see what he does second time around. But that tower goes down, first one of the game for Alliance, down in the bottom lane. Concrete performance from Tabzz this time around in Nyph. They are dominating this lane, honestly. A 60+ CS advantage now built up by Tabzz over Genja, and they are not backing off just yet as they move 3 members onto this turret. You can see, actually, Nick making some moves. He's coming across. Remember, Destiny is available from Froggen if he needs it, as well as the teleport not up currently for Wickd, but is for Kubon.
Another great bubble from Edward. It at least reduced some of the damage. Gambit are going to look to surround.
Whoa.
Look at Diamond coming in from behind. If Froggen wants to move for Destiny, that was a flash from Tabzz, I believe. There's the tidal wave.
Edward flashed in as well. Diamond comes around. Nyph flays him back there, gets the death sentence on towards Nick. It's going to simply flash away from this one. Shook's going to try and run. Nyph may well be the sacrificial lamb here. I think he will go down. Tabzz is trying to make tracks here. Destiny not going to come out. Froggen's choosing to continue pushing the mid lane instead, and that gives 2 kills for Gambit.
So they shut them down. If Alliance can get 2 towers, that is a more than fair trade. Alliance get map presence and control. Shook makes it out alive, but you have to think that Tabzz, Nyph, and Shook were overextended. They may have counted on the pressure from Froggen, at which point Alliance decided to go the other direction. Nick is very low on hit points here and eats of wild cards as well, so got to be very, very careful. He's at threat of being caught out by Froggen. And I think strategically, Alliance probably made the right call. They get more net gold, they get more map control, and they've opened up Gambit's jungle for invades and for deep wards without having those outer towers, as well as made this next dragon safer for them because they've still got the middle and bottom tower to fall back to in the event of an engage.
Yeah, I do somewhat question Kubon's teleport down towards that bottom lane, whether it was absolutely needed, because you could tell Alliance, although Wickd did try and Dragon Descent pounce across, didn't quite get the interrupt on him, and instead took the tower, as you mentioned. 2 towers going down, very much worth it over 2 kills. Dragging it up in 20 seconds, Gambit currently have positional advantage, but Alliance, you can see, already moving in force. Kubon does not have teleport available, has just back to base. Wickd can join in at any time. Alliance, of course, was already secured the first 2 dragons of this game. Kubon is heading towards the pit. It's going to be a 5-on-5.
Yeah, Gambit have got pretty good vision set up, so they're aware the objective is coming up. They do, of course, have the timers, as long as they've seen the pit. But very importantly for Gambit, they can't run the risk of being collapsed on quickly. Because if Froggen manages... I mean, look at the damage from Tabzz.
Oh.
He's just poked down Edward. There is a tidal wave available. And Gambit, this is risky. Teleport from Wickd as well as Destiny is going to come down from Froggen. And there's the engage.
No, instead, teleport comes in. Aqua Prism does not land because of that flash. Of course, top lane was pushed in, mid lane is pushed in as well. The inner turrets are taking a beating here while Gambit trying their best to prevent them going towards this. Or blue buff might get stolen away here. Diamond had to smite that one away. That does mean, of course, smite is no longer available for the dragon.
Now, Alliance have got positional advantage. They've opted to go for the dragon instead of the mid tower. Gambit couldn't even contest. Their sentence gets avoided, but look at this. Gambit are being split up. They were forced to defend their own blue buff with the smite. So, sort of traded from earlier in the game. And while Gambit were defending their blue buff, Froggen was pushing mid lane. The rest of Alliance are now grouping up potentially to push top lane. This is all Alliance. They are dictating the tempo, and Gambit have not been able to find an opportunity to break Alliance's lines.
And this is what Alliance do best. Every team that's faced them has said, you know, positional map advantage. Alliance are the best in the business at this one. Gambit chasing down kills here, but they're leaving so much available on the map. Again, Tabzz free farming down that bottom lane. Froggen shoves up the mid wave. And a simple lantern from Nyph just pulls Shook out of danger, and 5 members of Gambit are completely left lost in the mid-jungle.
Yeah, Edward threw out that tidal wave. It didn't work out. Probably the smart call, because Froggen was in the mid lane, Tabzz was in the bottom lane, so Gambit sensed there was a theoretical opportunity. But they just couldn't catch up with the mobility. You know, Nyph, with those boots of mobility, was able to get out to a safe enough distance. And he's definitely one of the unsung Thresh heroes. Nyph is very, very solid on this champion. And if you go back to the beginning of the split, in his last split as well. Wickd in trouble.
Well, Wicked's in a 2v1 here. He's doing a good trade, but it's not going to quite be enough. He will go down. Destiny comes out. Is Froggen fancying it? Yes, he is. He's going straight in. Diamond takes the sacrificial hit. But Froggen, look at this. Pops Ghost. He's chasing on Kubon. Don't think he's going to get close enough. Instead, we'll just red card and clear the wave.
Very important that he picked up those double buffs as well. Blue buff, rather. He had red buff previously, so grabbed himself that blue buff after Diamond smited it in the previous engage. And Nick, Death Sentence, can it connect? If it does, Tabzz has got the damage.
There is a minion wave there. He won't get the slowdown on him. As we mentioned, Nyph has got those boots of mobility. Shockwave pulled in. That's not going to be enough. He can just quickly shield that one off. And Tabzz comes in to protect his support. And Nick forced to back away.
Yeah, but now with the damage that was put onto Nick and the fact that they know Shockwave is not available, Alliance can siege. They've got a lot of damage with Twisted Fate and Hourglass, as well as Tabzz with Trinity Force, so they can destroy this tower in a couple of hits. There's no Shockwave threat here for Gambit, and Nick has got no mana. So it's super easy pickup for Alliance. Punishing the panic play, I think, from Nick.
So first inner turret of the game goes down for Alliance, now 4-0. Continuing, Kubon chasing on towards Froggen. Has he got the gold card? Will land it, but I'm not sure if it's enough to get away. Kubon chooses not to follow, hasn't got the vision of the rest of the team in the jungle there, but he forces Froggen to back.
It's important to note how much damage Kubon actually did put down. Despite being 7,000 gold down, if Gambit can find the right opportunity to engage, they could pop somebody very quickly. Froggen, you know, lands with Destiny, gets instantly caught by a bubble from Edward and blown up. You can get resets for Diamond and for Genja. Let's see if Diamond's actually evolved his wings. He has. So if Gambit can find the right opportunity and kill Shook, Froggen, or Tabzz very quickly in a fight, they can get the resets and chase. But that's the only way that they can make up this deficit. It's very reliant on killing Froggen before he hourglasses and not being knocked away by the Dragon's Descent from Wickd.
And honestly, if Tabzz is left alone in that back line, he will kill everyone. Everyone on the field, no doubt about it. You just saw the damage he did to Diamond there. Just a 3-hit combo and half his hit points were gone. That's your jungler going down, who's 3-1-4, the most fed in the game so far for Gambit. So 7-5 in kills, but that's not what counts. 4-0 in turrets is the objectives. And more importantly, that gold advantage, of course, is 6,000 in their favor. Alliance starting off well here. Well, Gambit, in fairness, started off well, but a little bit of a loose play at the start. 4-2 up in the opening, exchanging kills as Eddie gives us a quick song as he backs. Will give Alliance a big lead in this game.
2 minutes to go till Dragon. Alliance are going to ward up the blue side jungle of Gambit, shove out that bottom lane, potentially to the inner turret. And they're either going to get the turret or they're going to get the Dragon. Look at the vision that is now being set up. Pink wards, green wards, the buddy system of Nyph and Shook. While all of that's going on, Wickd is potentially getting ganked. He does have Dragon's Descent, and his teleport will be available soon. But look at the pressure onto that tower from Alliance.
Well, this is what we've seen before, honestly. Wickd pulling all the attention. Flash will be back off in just a moment. Tabzz goes in, shoves up the minion wave, goes back to buy, completes Blade of the Rune King, and heads on back. And Alliance, they're in full control of the map right now.
2 Blade of the Rune Kings on the side of Alliance. A lot of damage from Shook with the Spirit of the Spectral Wraith and obviously the Hourglass and Froggen. There's not a lot of defensive stats yet for Gambit. Diamond has gone all aggressive. He's got a Brutalize and the makings of a Last Whisper. He's not tanking. Look at Wickd.
Whoa.
Melting Kubon in a 1-on-1.
Has to hit the ultimate to try and get some lifesteal back off that minion wave. Diamond is nearby, but I don't think Wicked's too worried about that one. Kuba's going to Blade Surge on towards him, dashes in there. Diamond now coming in for safety. Will try and get on towards him, but look at this. Froggen pops his ultimate, chases in, Ghost pops. Yellow card will come out in a minute. The stun goes down as the Diamond. He's going to drop, and Wickd tanks the turret. No problem about that one. The rest of Diamond try and react on towards it. They will get themselves a kill on towards Wickd. He's stuck around a little bit too long. Now Edward's in there. Genja comes around the side there. Quick repel from Shook, but while this is all happening, Tabzz is just free farming down the bottom, taking down yet That's another inner turret. He's going to push on towards the inhib turret here as Alliance keep them busy in the top.
They trade 1 for 1. Dragon's going to be up in 15 seconds. If Alliance continue to stay grouped in the top lane, they may even be able to put pressure on the top inner turret. Tabzz is finally deciding to back away, and Alliance once again using their bodies as bait. As soon as Gambit commits, team members of Alliance take down towers elsewhere on the map. They grab an uncontested tower in the bottom lane. Tabzz continues to get farm, and now Alliance are roaming to the Dragon that we talked about. They set up this play in the bottom lane, realized there was an opportunity top lane. Froggen was forced to Destiny, of course, and the rest of the team came to back it up. But Alliance are just going to get their 10,000 gold lead. Yes. I'm going to call it that. At 25 minutes.
Just 800.
I can almost math. It's almost
there, almost there. So Alliance, big advantage for them now as they continue to prove why they are the top team in the league. And let's point out, more importantly, that if they win this game, they will be secure in that top spot come the end of Super Week, because they have that advantage over Fnatic, and Fnatic can now only equal them if Alliance were to win this matchup. Currently, Alliance would put them 2-0 in Super Week, which is a very, very good start for a team that has been, honestly, in brilliant form throughout the season.
Yeah, it has been their season. Or their split, rather. Now Wickd has found Diamond.
Diamond in a little bit of trouble. Eddie comes in and just gets a quick poke on him. That wasn't the Blade of the Rune King, by the way. That was just a simple, straight-up Dragon's Bite, I think, from Wickd. He's got himself a big wave. He'll just push on through.
Luckily, it applies the passive of Blade of the Rune King. And that's just melting his HP. But again, Diamond still yet to complete the Last Whisper, still yet to build tanky items. That is literally a bug that can be squashed very quickly. Gambit's got no damage reduction on his ult. Diamond's got no damage reduction on his ultimate. That's been gone for a few patches now. And that was one of the big reasons everybody moved away from Kha'Zix.
Oh dear. Oh, Diamond hooked in. He's not getting out of this one. Oh, is he?
Yeah,
oh, here comes Destiny, comes in. Froggen, that's a little deep. He's going to use a bit of a Messiah. Sonja's Hourglass straight in amongst 4 members of Gambit. Now Wickd, the big tanky target, comes on through. The rest of Alliance come through. Death Sentence's back off cooldown. Kubon hooked in this time. Didn't fancy that one. Shockwave pulls in 3 members of Alliance. Diamond pounces in there. Kubon gets 1 kill. Diamond gets the reset. Jumps back in there. Genja gets the kill on that one. Everybody from Gambit so low. The heal will protect them and keep them away. It was a 2 for 0 though for Gambit.
Despite the fact that Gambit were 10,000 gold down going into that team fight, they found the right targets they were able to kite, and the resets is what helped them out. They got 1 kill, they chased further for another one. Alliance were disjointed. They went in drips and drabs, side by side, and weren't really a strengthened force. Now Gambit need to be very careful. They do have wards here, and Wickd does have teleport, so I don't think they're going to go for the objective, but if they at least deny the vision and regain some control of their jungle, it's steps to move forward. The key thing to note is just how split up Alliance are once this fight continues to break out. Froggen is between 4 members. Now he's going to get pulled to safety, and Wickd is then going to be between 4 members. Alliance are never dealing damage as a team, and single members of Alliance are being bursted down by multiple members of Gambit. Oh, another fight in the mid lane.
Straight back into it. We just saw Froggen surfing that wave, actually. That made me giggle. But yeah, you can see the fact that Kubon teleported onto the ward in the bush, tried to rush straight around to Baron. They wanted to start it off, but again, that pink ward put a stop to that one. Steal away. Diamond there gets the blue buff secured. While this is all happening, Froggen has snuck down the bottom lane, and this is what we talked about, the split push possibilities that a Twisted Fate does offer you, along with Wickd now going in towards that top lane. It's going to be a 1-3-1 split push for Alliance, going back to standard tactics.
It's what their composition does best. They put themselves into a position where they can push the side lanes, and because of the response that a teleport or a Destiny can have, it allows Alliance to maximize the opportunities they can punish. But the interesting to note is as this game continues to progress, Diamond has still not found another item. He's been sitting on a pickaxe longsword probably the last 9 minutes, and he hasn't earned a whole lot of gold. He's been investing a lot into vision, into wards. And yes, that is helping out in theory. Diamond is not growing in strength, whereas Shook has got himself a Randian's Omen completed, along with Wickd having a Randian's Omen completed. Gambit won that last fight because they single targets out. If Alliance don't make that same mistake, I don't think Gambit have the damage or the survivability to win another fight.
The big thing is Genja will get stronger, but the problem is Tabzz is ginormous right now. Froggen continues, shoves that wave in. comes across again, keeping the vision across the map. They're going to 1-4-1, 1-4 split push this time around. 1-4-1. They're going to get a 6-man on the pitch. You never know. The referee's going to pull himself up a computer in the top lane. Probably would hinder, actually, thinking of the referees. At the moment, though, Froggen shoves on along that bottom lane. Alliance, full control. What will Gambit do? They need a little bit of another successful play. Alliance went a little headstrong into the jungle, I think, and which is why they've stepped off the gas here and gone a bit more passive.
Notice Dragon's up once again in 2 minutes, and for the 3rd time this game, because Alliance have got all those towers down, because they've got a lead, they invest a lot of wards and vision into their opponent's jungle. I would dare say there's a small argument for maybe overkill because of the amount of wards that have invested for like the number of dragons. There's 3 sweeping lenses on Alliance, so they're spending a lot to get this vision. Now they need to punish it. To be fair, Alliance have got every single dragon this game. But we'll see how they handle themselves. 45 seconds before it respawns. Gambit have not started to make a motion down there to either clear out wards or to get vision themselves. And I don't think they're going to be looking for a straight-up fight. They don't want a 5v5. Gambit want to surprise Alliance, 3v1, 4v1, and then fight the rest of the team once they have a 5v4 scenario.
Well, if you hold a conversation with any member of Alliance, it's only 2 sentences before they say vision control.
Yep.
Even if it's just, you know, you're talking about going down the pub later, they talk about vision control. You don't want to know about that. But they are very much focused on that one as a team. Absolutely what they believe in. We heard, of course, Peke talking about yesterday in his interview, talking about their victory over Super Hot Crew, and talking about how basically the vision they had aided them in a complete dominant victory in that game.
Yeah, and it's one of the tools that just gives you the information to work with, especially when you've got a Destiny and a toilet port to move around with. But for Alliance, they've not picked the best fights. They've picked the best objective trades, and they've been able to keep control of, you know, the towers and the dragons. But they're losing on kills. Every time engagements have happened, Alliance have been in the wrong place, right? So Destiny's coming in, and there's Wickd from the side.
Oh dear. We'll forget that happened and just move on, I think. Gambit will disengage as they manage to walk away from this one. Baron is a possibility, though. Still, Destiny was used. Alliance, though, let's not discredit here. They've had every single dragon and every single tower so far. Gambit yet to get a single objective on the map.
Yeah, Gambit have responded well to punishing Alliance when they're overextended. But once again, Nyph has caught Nick, but he might go down.
Oh, he has to back away from that one. Genja used his rocket jump to go in aggressively. It's important to note, Diamond now, he's in trouble. Wickd comes on towards him, playing the Rune King, will get the slowdown on him, along with Iranian's Omen, but I'm not sure he's got the damage to dive on the tower. He could have dived, he could have took the hits, but it was risky.
If Wickd could have got Diamond lower or dead, that would have allowed Alliance to go for the Baron in much more safety. That is why he committed, why he burned the flash and tried to jump in there, but it did not work out in his favor. Gambit, unfortunately, again, are just too far behind. They don't want to stand toe-to-toe. And that last little giggle fight where Wickd and Froggen threw themselves at Gambit, Edward actually had a very good tidal wave. It was a strong disengage, despite the fact that Wickd went a bit wide with his descent in Dragonfall.
Not for the first time, that's for sure. So, Shook, laying in wait. He landed and threaded the needle with the cocoon at the start, which aided in Kubon going down. Tabzz was hoping something would get created, but instead, it looks like a bit of a Baron bait potentially here. Alliance want to try and draw Gambit in. Remember, Gambit have famed before for basically saying they're going to throw everything into a fight to maybe make sure that that Baron is stopped. They put high value in this target, as they should. Edward hooked in and taken down. Tabzz just shreds through his health there. Kubon comes in, but look at Tabzz, he's just ripping through that top laner. Now Nick separated out. Wickd pounces through and he just disappears under the flap of his wings. Now Genja's going to get chased down. Destiny comes out, Froggen catches on. Kubon there. Genja blows Froggen off the map. Diamond going to get focused on. Tabzz doing all of the damage. One more shot, not going to land. The stealth just about gives him the speed to evade that ultimate, but the Baron will go down. It's Alliance once again coming out on top.
Finding the right targets and this time punishing Gambit for being split up. Alliance landed all of the crowd control they needed, and the very farmed, very fed Tabzz and Froggen were able to just clean house in that scenario. So Alliance grabbed themselves 3 kills, grabbed themselves a tower in the top lane, and a Baron. And now Alliance should feel comfortable to continue committing. That's just Tabzz and Nyph peeling at the right time. Alliance were never fully committed to going for the Baron as the solo target. You've seen how quickly they responded to the threat of Gambit. Instantly, every single member peeled. And it's because they had such a big item lead.
What surprised me there, like Nick was caught with a cocoon, and how quickly they switched from Kubon to Nick instantly. The shot call is so crisp and clean right now for Alliance. They quickly all reacted instantaneously, all 5 of them going towards that same target. Diamond caught out here. Pinkward was getting cleared. I'm not sure Nyph's going to catch on towards him. Tab will get some damage down, and the eyes and the vision are on him. He continues to poke in. Wickid's chasing around. He finds Nick, pounces across, Dragon's Descent, and just melts him once again under his wings. Now Nick this time. Wave gets righted out. Quick surfing comes out from Tabzz and Wickd, but Gambit have to back away. Now 5 members with Baron are going up against 4 members of Gambit, trying to hold this inhibitor turret.
Tabzz hit every single living artillery while chasing Diamond through the jungle. Alliance are now onto the inhibitor turret. There's very little Gambit can do. With the tidal wave being used in the jungle, there's no disengage power or engage power. And at 36 minutes, yes, Diamond finally finished his last Whisper, but he's picked up the defensive item he needed. Negatron Cloak. Not even it. A null magic mantle. That's it. Diamond does not have gold. He does not have the resources he needs to be the impactful champion he needs to be, despite the fact he went 2-0-2.
We'll see how it works out. At the moment, it's looking like Alliance strongly in the favor. 666 for Alliance. They are the beasts as they move through on Gambit, who are just shy of 50,000 gold. So you can tell 17,000 gold differential now, as Alliance almost certainly will close out this game for the win. Of course, that gives hope and praise maybe even for Copenhagen Wolves, who themselves went 0-2 yesterday. They need Gambit to go down in this game and keep themselves in 7th place.
So Froggen did use his Destiny a moment or two ago just to get up to this lane and help put some more pressure onto the tower. And rightly so. If Gambit lose, well, when they lose this game, they will be 1-1 on the week. Copenhagen Wolves are 0-2. Gambit needs to have one more win than the Wolves. Right, ditch effort from Gambit. They've got that.
Ditch effort. They got it towards Tabzz. Straight away, Kubon goes down, and they bounce on through. Not too sure what Trevor was thinking, but nonetheless, Alliance know exactly what the focus is. Nick will get down. He's going to get caught out the heel. Is it going to be enough? Blue card's going to get on towards him. That will be Genja that goes down. Wild card's thrown on through Nick and Edward, both caught with the damage on that one. Alliance will clear out. They don't care about the inhibitor now because the Nexus turrets have been opened up as they push on through. And Alliance secure themselves 1st place. Will they finish it here though? I'm not sure. You can see they're trying to put the damage back down. Can they get on towards it? Just hit the damn Nexus turret, for crying out loud. Alliance just toying with the sun. They want some more damage. That's all they want. And after KDA stats, they're trying to pad them out. It doesn't matter. Alliance are top of the European League of Legends Championship Series in the league and move into playoffs, the #1 seed.
Took a long time to close that out. And Nabs, as it was at the end, managed to get caught. I got a bit excited, D-Man. I got a bit excited.
I'm glad it was Nabs you said, because I thought you said something else. Nonetheless, Alliance, dominant win for them, proving why they are the best team in Europe right now, and really, they are light years ahead of some of their opposition.
To be fair, it did feel like they were struggling to find ways into Gambit. They committed 2 or 3 times in that sort of 20 to 35 minute mark where Gambit did punish them. But on the same token, didn't lose a single tower, pushed the waves perfectly. Every time they lost champions, they took towers in reply.
Didn't lose a dragon, didn't lose a tower, didn't lose a baron. 22,000 gold lead in the end, just after 38 minutes. That is a strong result for Alliance, that's for sure.
It really is.
Dominant. And you know, the rest of the teams really have to look at Alliance, because if you look back at Spring Split, they were nowhere near this dominant, but they really have stepped it up as a team in the summer.
Yeah, coordination, calling, the decision-making is great. I actually think one thing we can take away for Gambit in this game, their team fighting was fairly good. The few times they did actually have battles in the very early game, even when they caught Alliance out in the jungle, their coordination is better than it has been. Genja got obliterated. It's unfortunate, but Gambit, of course, they are looking stronger. We need to see if they can chase 7th against the Wolves.
Well, of course, with that win from Alliance, our first 2 playoff seeds are